little fight on the landing ground.
Thank you for joining us. You are listening to A Radio, and this is The Morning Moment. Please click on the follow button on Spreaker.com. I am going to read the headlines, just the headlines, from the month of May in the UK. I will put a link to the full article on my website, but remember, these are just the headlines. If you want more detailed information, it's there. And this is from the Gatestone Institute. May 1st. Army cadets in Scotland were warned not to wear their uniforms in public because they could be targeted by jihadists. May 1st again. 3 female teenagers were arrested in East End of London on terrorism charges. May the 2nd. Samata Ullah, a 34-year-old jihadist from Cardiff, was sentenced to 8 years in prison for 5 terrorist offences. May 3rd. Damon Smith, a 20-year-old convert to Islam, was found guilty of making a bomb filled with ball bearings and leaving it in a subway train in London. Did you hear about that? May 3rd again. A trial began for 4 Muslim men who gang-raped a 16-year-old girl in Ramsgate, Kent. Did you hear about that? Ian Davis, a 33-year-old convert to Islam, was sentenced to 7.5 years in prison by a court in Turkey for being a member of ISIS. May 11. A mother and daughter, along with another woman, appeared in Westminster Magistrates Court on charges of plotting a jihadist attack near the British Parliament. Don't remember that one. May 12. Female drivers in Stockport were warned about a gang of young Muslim males who were attempting to get into cars stopped at intersections. That sounds familiar to something I did recently. May 13. A divorce practice that allows Muslim men to instantly terminate an Islamic marriage simply by repeating the word talaq, meaning divorce, 3 times, to his wife has been described as really common among Muslims in Britain. May 14. Mohan Singh, founder of Sikh Awareness Society, said that Muslim grooming gangs have been allowed to prosper in Britain. May 15. The Association of Schools and Colleges Leaders, ASCL, which represents 18,000 schools and principals and college leaders, published a 12-page paper providing practical advice for schools during Ramadan. May 17. The first episode of the BBC's drama on Muslim gang rapes in Rochdale, called 3 Girls, was broadcast with widespread approval by the mainstream media. The programme, however, did not mention that the perpetrators were Muslim, or that Islamic doctrine sanctions such as treatment of non-Muslim women, according to the review published by Breitbart London. May 17. Mohammed Rabini, an international director of CAGE, a controversial group critical of British anti-terrorism laws, was charged with willfully obstructing or seeking to frustrate a search under Schedule 7 of the Terrorism Act of 2000. May 18. The Muslim Council of Britain, MCB, an umbrella group with 500 affiliate mosques and Islamic bodies, released a list of key issues affecting Muslims before the general election. May 19. Khalid Mohammed Omar Ali, 27, a terror suspect who was arrested with a backpack full of knives on April 27 near the Houses of Parliament, told the Old Bailey that he does not need a lawyer because he is represented by Allah. May 21st, Mr. Justice Kehan, a senior judge of the High Court in London, warned that girls in Britain are at risk of being forced to undergo female genital mutilation, which is FGM for short. He said, despite the criminal law being in existence for more than 30 years, there has been no successful prosecution of the FGM offence. May 22nd, Salam Ramadan Abdi, a 22-year-old British-born jihadist of Libyan descent, detonated a suicide bomb Ariana Grande music concert in Manchester. 23 people, including this idiot, were killed in an attack and more than 100 were injured. 22. May 23rd. Prime Minister Theresa May announced the armed forces would be deployed on British streets to boost security after the Manchester bombing. And in fact, it wasn't a Manchester bombing, it was a Manchester terrorist attack. That's me inserting that. The Manchester-born singer Morrissey criticised British politicians for their reaction to the bombing, notice they call it bombing, in his hometown, saying they were too politically correct to admit the concert bombing was the work of an Islamic extremist. May 24. Manchester Mayor Andy Berman said Manchester-born Salam Abdi was a terrorist who had nothing to do with Islam. May 25th. BBC anchor Catty Kay, who I believe you know in North America, said Britons should get used to jihadist attacks after the Manchester blast. May 25. The UK Independence Party, known as UKIP, released a manifesto pledging to tackle radical Islam. May 26. MI5, that's Britain's domestic security agency, revealed that they have identified 23,000 jihadist extremists living in the country. Yes. May 26. A police helicopter swooped in on a garden party in Cherry Hinton when a song mocking the death of terrorist Osama bin Laden was played. May 27. Manchester bomber Salam Abdi used taxpayer-funded student loans and benefits to bankroll the terrorist plot, according to the Telegraph newspaper. May 28. A 23-year-old Libyan trainee pilot was arrested in Shoreham by Sea, Sussex, as part of an investigation into the jihadist network behind the Manchester attack with Salam Abdi. May 29, Didsbury Mosque. The mosque attended by Manchester bomber Salam Abdi and his family admitted to the BBC that it did not report him to the British authorities for being suspected of as Islamic terrorist. That should be Islamic extremist. May 29. Paul Nuttall, the leader of the UK Independence Party, said that suspected jihadists should be detained without trial. May 30. 5 senior school leaders accused of involvement in the Trojan horse controversy were allowed to return to work. Now I looked into that and it goes way back in time and I'm going to do a piece on that shortly. May 31. A new book talking about terrorism urged school children as young as 7 to write a letter to a terrorist to help understand their motives. Unbelievable. May 31st. The findings of an investigation commissioned by former British Prime Minister David Cameron into foreign funding and the support of jihadi groups may never be published, according to the Guardian newspaper. Well, there you have it. I want you to ask yourself, did you hear much about many of those things other than the obvious exception, the Manchester bombing, as they call it? I think if you had, it would have left you with a feeling of more than a little being concerned as to where we are heading as an open and free society, be it in America, Canada, or wherever in the West. But you know what? And here's something to think about. I'm going to leave you this final thought. It doesn't have to be that way if we want to stand up and stop it right now. It doesn't have to be that way. I'm not going to expand on that. But we don't have to allow this to continue. You can find more at aradio.wordpress.com, where you will find links to us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, iTunes, Gab, and email. We are continuing to reach out to you, so please pass on the links. Please click on the follow button on Spreaker.com. You can listen to all my morning moments on Spreaker.com under A Radio. That's EHRADIO, A Radio. And please click on the like button. You can find all my podcasts and all my morning moments at aradio.wordpress.com. Click on the Morning Moments tab.